Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And with Rostermania still kicking off big time, one of the big questions remains from the OpTic camp: where is Dashy going to go? We saw some potential leaked teams over the last couple of weeks. Whether this means Dashy can go there, or whether he'll be stuck on the bench going forwards, that's what he seems to indicate on stream last night. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. And look, we have seen in the past when ARs have been dropped from OpTic, or Formal of course, when he left the Dynasty during the World War II days, went to join Luminosity, had a, well, fair, decent record against OpTic when he played them over the next couple of seasons. We could have a similar story emerge, and of course, Dashy has kind of indicated as well, he's, well, when he gets on a new team, he is going to be coming for that revenge. Now, before we dive into that, quick mention here on Major 4. You guys were kind of wondering in the comment section below yesterday's video, where's Major 4 going to be? Like, you know, coming up with some ideas, whether the COD League just say, let's just do it online. I mean, that'd be absolutely disastrous. But there's been some kind of questions here. This is John Fenton from the Esports Engine size, suggesting maybe Denver, Colorado as a location. So, you know, we'll see. Maybe he knows something we don't in terms of teams pitching to hold an event. But, yeah, if there are no teams pitching to hold one, then the league has to do it themselves at a venue of their choosing. And maybe Denver, Colorado could be a good one. I don't know. Wouldn't be my preference, but nonetheless, you know, I guess there's a good few reasons why this might be the case. So if you guys are from the area, that's at least a possibility to keep in mind. Now, let's talk about the state of practice right now. The teams were practicing last night, at least some of the teams were, and it was an absolute disaster. Let's be perfectly honest here. So Arcitys says, like, even the precision strike doesn't even work properly in CDL rules, something like that. And even as Ziddy says, right, just scrims, and now I'm going to the bar. So, I mean, yeah, can't blame him, right? He's headed there, he's going to knock back a few pints just because it's been a tough day of scrims dealing with the new spawns. Octane, of course, was playing clearly them in the replies of Boston versus Thieves was clearly a matchup last night. Don't get to see the results anymore, unfortunately, but it is what it is. COD is back sooner rather than later in relatively early January. And even as Slasher says, now this is a tweet that really caught my attention. Why spawns are not problematic. So he's given a quotation here that apparently he's potentially been given either by the developers or something along those lines. We know that the pros have some avenue of communication with the CDL and therefore with the developers to get things changed. They did change some glitches that were the case in the first few weeks of the game. Infinity Ward did fix after about 2 or 3 weeks, so you've got to give them some credit. But apparently this might have been the response they received, that yeah, lads, don't worry about the spawns, they're not even a problem. What are you lads complaining about? And even Mack says, right, no shot, that's what they told you guys. So I mean, yeah, this is just another example here of Slasher versus the CDL or against the developers, where apparently the devs are saying, yeah, that the new spawn update is no issues at all. What are you guys complaining about? Just get on with it. Even though, like, I mean, we'll see some examples here in a second. It's absolute madness what's going on in these lobbies, and the pros have no idea what is even going on. And as we mentioned last night, I'm not holding out that much hope that Infinity Ward are just going to fix this on relatively short notice, but nonetheless, it's affecting all the pros in all the scrims right now, and this is one of the reasons why the fact that OpTic aren't currently scrimming with whatever new roster they're going to line up with is probably not so bad, just because the quality of practice the teams are getting is not exactly high. So I don't imagine OpTic are particularly falling far behind with this going on, and you know, the push from the entire community right now to either get a spawn update again, hopefully they'll get better, or just revert to what we had at Major 1, because you know, it's clearly worse, people seem to believe. Even as Joe Deceive says here, and aBeZy replies with, all of these maps are just insane right now, never seen anything like it. Joe Deceive reckons Hydro's got to be banned or GA'd by the pros because the new spawns just make it impossible to play. Every map feels like 8, he says, because just complete chaos all the time. And you know that when Doug Sensor Martin is calling you out, like, and you're a Call of Duty developer, that's probably when you know that you've messed up a fair bit, because Doug was like, he was just in love with Call of Duty Vanguard. This guy played it the whole year, but here he comes calling out Infinity Ward saying, what are you guys playing at? These spawns are like the worst I've basically ever seen in my entire life. And even going on to follow up with this one, I'll pay anyone $1,000 if they can explain this. Basically what he's looking at here, and it's, if I pause it, you can't see the minimaps, so it's an absolute classic, but basically in the bottom left hand side, number 4 spawned in this little alcove and shot a couple of guys in the back. I don't like, I think it was Phantoms who spawned up in this little crevice that really should never be the case. I don't know why that was a thing, but nonetheless it happened, and Doug's like, what is going on here? And this is only one example of many that we've seen over the last few hours or so of just completely nonsensical spawns, it seems at times. There's another decent example here from Beans here in just a second. This is the spawn that Phantoms get right there, shoots a couple of guys in the back, absolute madness. And even this then from Beans, where like, what is actually happening here? It's so tough to explain. I guess I can put this one on the big screen because he actually zoomed into it. So here we are again on Hotel, and okay, the quality isn't great, but you guys can see the red team's got full control. Number 4 spawns here. So when number 4 Blues team spawns here, you would imagine that the rest of his team should probably respawn with him, but nonetheless, number one, like 4 spawns here, so you would think surely that blue team should spawn this size, but no, number 1 spawns here, the number 7 spawns here right afterwards, and then all of a sudden the blue team spawning on this side of the map, so they just all got the full pinch. So like, I don't understand what's happening there. Doesn't make any sense. Apparently it does make sense to certain individuals. Apparently Parasite is the absolute oracle on stuff like this, and even as Tupac reckons, right, Tupac Thug Lord, analyst, Search and Destroy analyst for FaZe, stating that you can't even get any 8s right now, or S&D or anything like that, and Slasher says, look, I'll be back doing it again and kind of coordinating it and making it happen, but you know, I won't be there until I actually figure out what is going on in Respawn right now. And then Zero's like, yes, you won't be back in there, because apparently it's impossible to figure out what is happening with these new spawns. Now, apparently someone's got it sus, and that man is Parasite. We've seen the last couple of days he's been one of the top drafts in 8s, just because Haggy apparently just has this incredible instinct and understanding for the way the spawn logic works. So, you know, it says, I am indeed a knower. So if Parasite does understand 95% of the way the new spawn system works and can actually adapt to it and figure out what's happening as a result, then, you know, the pros will figure it out in time. So maybe it's not the end of the world, but nonetheless, it probably means that teams that aren't currently practicing London, OpTic, for example, might be in a position where they're not falling that far behind, and maybe Infinity would make a massive change over the coming weeks, but I wouldn't bet anything on it, to be honest, knowing the history so far. We've got 2 years of this, by the way. It's going to be a long couple of years. There is no doubt about that one. So let's talk about the OpTic stuff, because earlier today we discussed what's going on with their roster, Scump's kind of reaction and response to the rumors of the last several days, but also the possibility of, you know, what they're going to do with their AR line, whether Scump now steps into being the main AR, whether that becomes iLLeY, but, you know, Dashy is almost certainly gone. Now, we actually turned on the stream last night, answered a few questions. One of the key quotations I wanted to mention for you guys was towards the end of the stream, he says, you know, I had a good time here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll probably do this more often now that I've got a lot more time on my hands, i.e. probably doesn't have practice every single day being dropped from the OpTic team. But also, as a result and the further implication of this, if he was signing to a new team, he probably wouldn't say this.
VOD'll be uploaded. If you guys want me to stream more of these, let me know. Just tweet me or whatever. I don't know. I probably have more time now on my hands. That's fine. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one, chat. Bye.
So to me, it sounds like that Dashy's basically going to be on the bench for the time being, and this is a pretty remarkable state of affairs. But, you know, nonetheless, it seems every single Modern Warfare year, Modern Warfare 2019, Modern Warfare 2022, it's just a disaster for Dashy. And, you know, I do wonder how much of this kind of went from the splashy thing at Major 3. But, yeah, it's got to be said that ever since Dashy fell off the map there into the water on whatever the map is called, Berlin, over at the dockside, like, it's all been downhill since then. So, you know, Dashy is probably, based on this information, going to be on the bench of OpTic going forwards. Now, of course, they're not going to just hold him there and like not let him go. He's been a key part of the OpTic family over the last couple of years, but nonetheless, it is, I think, time for a new chapter for OpTic and for Dashy himself. Now, when Arcitys was going to join OpTic, then maybe Dashy could have gone the other way. If Pred was going to join OpTic, then maybe Dashy could have gone the other way. They could have figured something out. With nothing happening there, where does Dashy go? There aren't many opportunities remaining. We know London are making a move. We know OpTic are making a move. We know LAG are making a move, but there aren't many other options for Dashy to go the other way for teams that actually need ARs as it stands. Now, Dashy, if he wants to compete, is not just going to sit there on the bench for the year. I would not be surprised if teams are really going hard to get Dashy after Major 2, because more than likely the teams that didn't make changes now, potentially there's a few other teams that were considering it, but decided not to in the end. If they underperform at Major 2, they will be looking for changes, and I'm sure Dashy will be a top consideration there. But for now, Dashy is probably going to have to ride the bench for a stage, which is, you know, not a good sign really, because he hasn't started this game particularly well. Without the practice and the reps in professional matches, he might not be able to really hit Dashy levels by the time they get to Major 3 and beyond this season. So, you know, what options does he potentially have? Quick note as well, because I guess Dashy was asking for a channel or something, and Tupac was trying to figure something out, and says, yeah, Pro Lieutenant Thieves. So I don't exactly know where this initiated from, but, you know, maybe Dashy to the Vegas Legion. That would be a storyline and a half, but, you know, there's no way Clay and kind of Dashy are ever teaming together, and minus Clay plus Dashy also doesn't make really much sense. But look, we shall see. These are the teams that we currently have in the league. FaZe, we know that's probably not going to happen. Maybe Boston, maybe Florida for sure. But look, does Dashy really want to go to Florida? Probably not. Like, if you're leaving OpTic, he wants to go to a team that can actually contend and win. So that to me would be either LAG, but you know, do they need a Dashy right now? Probably not. Arcitys is going to be there for a while, so maybe you can rule out LAG. And then like, how many other opportunities really are there for him? Like, okay, he will have a squad that he can be able to join, but it's a bit tricky to say. Subliners, of course, they've got Skies and Priest are killing it right now. They don't need a Dashy over there, and also they don't really want drama within that camp, but it's worked out for them so far this season, so doubt that's going to happen. Of course, Seattle, like, accuracy will be there at least until the team decides they don't want him anymore, more than likely, so probably Dashy not going to go there. Maybe Rokkr in a weird world where they think, you know what, Cammy hasn't been performing or Attach hasn't been performing, let's get Dashy in. That's maybe a possibility, but again, there is risk associated with bringing Dashy into a lineup, but of course, then again, having been dropped, I'm sure he's, you know, going to gun hard for revenge and maybe become the player that OpTic wanted him to be all along. But it is quite tricky to look at this list of teams right now and see an obvious target and candidate for Dashy to go to after, let's say, Major 2. Now, because many of these teams like Thieves, they're not going to change, Toronto aren't going to change, like, there's only a couple of teams that Dashy would want to join and might want to get Dashy in if they have a bad run. Now, as I say, maybe Vegas, but if that was the case, they'd probably have to get rid of Clay, right, which I don't really think they're going to do, to be honest, so I can't see that one. I can't really see Boston wanting to get Dashy in. I don't really know. It's tough to say. Obviously, FaZe don't want him. They didn't want him in the offseason. They don't want him now. Crowder said they're not making a change. So, yeah, what do you guys think? Where does Dashy go? Now, let's be honest. The OpTic change after Major 1 was, let's say, going into the season was pretty unexpected. If you'd have told me before the season OpTic would blow it off after Major 1, I'd be pretty surprised. So, it's very possible that after Major 2, there are far more teams making changes than we initially thought because, like, if Minnesota Rokkr aren't looking good, if Seattle Surge have regressed significantly and then Dashy's there as a free agent and potentially available for acquisition, then, you know, obviously someone's going to consider him. But whether he can actually find a shot on a team that he believes or, like, that actually has the possibility to win and get his, you know, revenge, let's say, on OpTic going forwards, that's a big question mark. So, yeah, definitely intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Where will Dashy go, or will he be stuck to the bench for now, which seems more and more likely with Florida and potentially the other teams that might have been changing, probably not doing anything like that any longer going into the new year. And it's also unclear exactly who was calling for this Dashy thing, just because it seems like Scump and Dashy, they do get along relatively well. I don't think Scump has said outright that he didn't want Dashy gone, but he basically has said that he doesn't want all of this drama to happen, which involves Dashy getting dropped from the team. So, you know, was it a Shotzzy-led thing? Was it a Rambo-led thing? Had they effectively had enough of the Dashy thing? And also, is it possible that it was a performance issue? Just because Dashy's numbers were, you know, by Dashy's standards, nowhere near the caliber in stage 1. He basically had a 1.0 flat. Like, it wasn't even on the Cellium index in terms of percentage of series going positive so far this season. Dashy's had a pretty much woeful start to the season by his standards, and pretty much every other AR right now in his respective category is performing better. So it's not out of the question that it was, like, not necessarily a performance thing, but performance combined with out of game stuff basically made the team think, you know what, Dashy's got to be the man to move on. So very much intrigued to your thoughts and all that in the comment section below. Just a quick note here as well on Tupac saying that he's never seen the scene this dead in terms of players playing the game. The scene right now is very much alive in terms of excitement for Major 2 and beyonds, but in terms of Search and Destroy, Pro 8, stuff like this, apparently no players are doing it. He said it happened all throughout Vanguard, but not so far this season. Doug does say that, okay, look, it's the holidays, the spawns were at an all-time low for respawn, hopefully that changes soon, but he reckons that he can't basically get anything going, so maybe not a good sign there for the longevity of this game, given there's 2 years of it. The pros don't seem to like it that much already, but of course expected given the state of the game right now. And even just to mention this, I thought was kind of crazy from Clay. So this is the soloing Clayster card, and someone chucks up on eBay here for $344, I guess Canadian dollars, $255 US. So I don't imagine it's worth quite that much, but look, it is a Clayster signed card, pretty cool stuff. Still saying my autograph is worth this much, I don't know, but you know, each their own, I suppose. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.